Prevalant Instruments, Part 2.
Welcome to the lecture series on Carnatic music. In this session, we shall discuss about another familiar concert instrument, namely the violin. Introduction. Violin is a bowed stringed instrument. The origin of violin can be traced back to the vil-yar of the ancient Tamils and the Jagosha mentioned in the Atharvana Veda. Sangeeta Ratnakara mentions Pinaki Veena and Nishanka Veena, which are bowed string instruments. The name violin or fiddle has been given to a particular type of bowed instruments. The present day violin is a Western that has been adopted into Indian music. It is presently the chief melodic accompaniment in Carnatic classical music. It is also performed as a solo instrument.
4 instruments belonging to the violin group. The violin is the smallest instrument in this group. Viola, cello, and the bass are the other 3 bigger instruments, one bigger than the other in that order. History. Ravanastram or Ravanahastam was a bowed string instrument prevalent in South India around 3000 years ago. The Kurma Veena of the ancient period was also a bowed instrument. The Siriyar of the ancient Tamils was also a bowed stringed instrument. It was during the 16th century that Andre Amarti, 1505 to 1580, an Italian, first manufactured the violin. This violin was subject to improvement by later musicians and attained its final shape at the hands of Antonio Stradivarius, 1644 to 1737, during the 17th century and obtained great fame. In India, concerts in the early period used to be accompanied only by a tambura and mridangam. Though veena accompanied in certain concerts, musicians did not favor that veena, the prestigious instrument which came to be called the Queen of Instruments, be held in a secondary position as an accompanying instrument. So, when the violin was introduced, it was easily accepted by all as an accompanying instrument. Earlier in South Indian temples, the Dväram used to be accompanied by sarangi, another bowed instrument. This practice is still prevalent in Nellayappar temple of Tirunelveli. The violin was introduced to the Indians during the British rule. It was Baluswami Dikshitar, the brother of Muthuswami Dikshitar, who first learned the art of playing violin in the Western style from the bandmaster of Fort St. George. He then changed the tuning of the strings from the Western style, which was pa-ri-da-ga or sa-pa-ri-da, to sa-pa-sa-pa to suit the rendering of Carnatic music. Later, Tanjavur Vadivelu Pillai, Pudukottai Narayanaswami Iyer, Sirkazhi Narayanaswami Pillai, Tirukkodikaval Krishna Iyer, Fiddle Venkoparao, Trichy Govindasamy Pillai, Semmangudi Narayanaswami Iyer, Dväram Venkataswami Naidu, Chaudaya, Kumbakonam Rajamanikam Pillai, Papa Venkatramaiah, and others gained expertise in this instrument and demonstrated that not only Kalpita Sangeetam but Manodharma Sangeetam could also be easily and deftly played on this instrument. Forms of violin. The present-day violin was first manufactured by Stradivarius. The people of Wales used a violin which had 6 strings. 4 were used to play with the fingers and the other 2 were plucked with the thumb. This violin type was called koth. The Philippines use a violin made entirely of bamboo. The bow is also made of bamboo, and instead of hair, silk threads are used. This instrument is called bamboulin. Phonoviolin is of recent origin and was first made in America. This has a gramophone-like horn for a resonator. The sound produced in this instrument is rather diminished. Pochette, pocket fiddle or pouch fiddle was a small instrument used by the European dance masters. A 5-stringed violin was used in the 19th century by a violin vidwan, photograph Masilamani Mudaliyar. The 5th string was tuned Anumandram Pa. He introduced this string in order to accompany Coimbatore Raghavaiah, who sang in Tristai. He used to call this string as Raghavatanti. Recently, 7-stringed violins have been used by some vidwans. In this, the first 3 strings of the regular violin are in pairs, tuned to octave relationships, Madhya Sa, Tarasa, and so on, and a single 4th string, making a total of 7 strings. Violins also differ in size. There are violins of half sizes, 3/4 sizes, 7/8 sizes, and full size. Construction. The violin is a very light-weighted instrument. However, this instrument consists of many parts. Different kinds of wood are used for the manufacture of the different parts in order to give strength to the violin and at the same time maintaining the light weight of the instrument. The following are the different parts of the violin. The resonating body. The resonating body of the violin is made up of the top plank or the belly, the bottom plank or the back, and the side bouts. The top plank. This is convex in shape and is made of silver oak, sycamore, cedar, pine, and Himalayan fir. It has close parallel vertical grains. It is 1/10 of an inch thick. It is made of 2 halves glued together. The top plank has 2 F-shaped holes on either side. The bridge is placed on the top plank. It is attached to the fingerboard through a neck block. The lower plank. This is made of maple wood and has close grains. It is also convex in shape. This also has 2 separate pieces glued together. It is joined to the neck and the scroll. The side bouts. 6 pieces of curved wood are used to link the top and the bottom plank, leaving a hollow resonating body. These are also made of maple wood and are joined to the top and bottom planks through linings at the corners. Neck. The neck and the scroll form one unit and are made up of maple wood. It links the resonating body, the fingerboard, and the strings. Scroll. This is an extension of the neck portion originally meant for decoration. However, in the Indian system of playing, the scroll is a convenient part to rest the violin on the foot near the ankle. Peg box and the pegs. The peg box is an extension of the neck portion and lies between the neck and the scroll. It is a small rectangular box of about 3 inches in length, scooped out of the neck portion. The 4 pegs are placed, 2 on each side of the peg box. One end of the strings is attached to these 4 pegs. Saddle. It is made of ebony. It is convex in shape and is attached to the fingerboard. It is slightly raised than the fingerboard. It has slits through which the strings pass to the pegs, and these slits help in holding the strings in their position. Fingerboard. The fingerboard is made of ebony and contains close grains for smoothness and stability. It is about 26.5 centimeters long and its width is 2.5 centimeters at one end and 4.5 centimeters at the other end. It has convex surface. This is glued to the neck block. It extends over the resonating body but is slightly raised from the body. It is important that the fingerboard does not touch the body of the violin. Sound post. This is a round stick 2 inches in length. It is made of spruce. It is placed between the top and the bottom planks, 2 millimeters below the right foot of the bridge, exactly touching the top and the bottom planks. It is placed with the help of a force through the F hole. It is a very important part of the violin and its positioning affects the sound production. If it is too light, the sound of the violin is tense and hard. If it is bending forward, the sound is shrill and loud. If laced to the extreme right, the sound is dull, and if it is towards the center, the sound is too loud. Hence, the positioning of the sound post has to be perfect in order to have a good sound quality of the violin. Bass bar. This is an invisible part. It is a 9-inch long wooden rod running below the top plank from the top to the end of the F holes. Perpendicular to the bridge towards its left side and parallel to the fingerboard. It gives depth and volume in the Mandharasthai. It helps in transmitting vibrations from the left side to the entire sound box. F holes. There are 2 holes on the top plank in the shape of an F letter. These holes facilitate the vibration of air. It also helps in the correct positioning of the bridge and in placing the sound post inside the body. Bridge. The bridge is a very important part of the violin. This is made of spruce, pine or oak. Though these are of light weight, they are considerably strong and hence used for the bridge. It should have well-knit grains in order to withstand the tension of the strings. The bridge is a thin, curved structure. It has holes to improve the quality of sound. Their curved structure enables the free vibration of strings. It has perfect contact with the belly and lies between the cross lines of the F holes in a straight line with equal distance on either side. The height of the bridge should be moderate. If the temper of the strings is increased too high, the gap between the fingerboard and the strings also increases, and hence it is difficult to obtain pure notes. Similarly, if the height of the bridge is too low, the strings touch the fingerboard and the notes are not clearly heard. The height of the bridge should be so adjusted that the distance between the fingerboard and the strings should be about 7 to 10 mm. This bridge is not glued to the top plank. Care should be taken that the bridge is erect and not bent forwards or backwards. Mute clip is used over the bridge to lessen the volume of sound. Strings. There are 4 strings in a violin. In the South Indian classical system of playing, the strings used are E, A, D, G for the first, second, third and fourth strings. The first string E is very thin one and is tuned to Madhya Panchama. The other 3 strings are gradually thicker and are tuned to Madhya Shadja, Mandara Panchama and Mandara Shadja respectively. These strings were earlier made of silver and copper. Later, steel strings were used. Presently, they are made of electrometal. Except the first string, which is plain, the others are coiled strings which have enhanced vibrations. One end of the string is fixed to the string holder on the tailpiece and passed over the bridge. The other end passes over the slits in the saddle and is then fastened to the peg. Tailpiece and button. These are made of ebony. The button is at the center of the rib on top of the violin, to which the tailpiece is attached or hooked by gut or wire. At its lower end, strings are attached in such a manner that it will not upset the position of the bridge. Bow. The bow is made of Brazilian wood. It has a slight bend or curve at the center. The bow stick is about 29.5 inches long. The bow has a hatchet-shaped head on one end and a movable nut button on the other. The metal ferrule spreads the hair like a ribbon. The hair is 25.5 inches in length. The nut is made of ebony, ivory or tortoise shell. The bow is tightened with a screw cap. There are leather or silver windings on the bow where it is held, and it aids in gripping the bow firmly. Rosin is used on the hair to provide friction. Borax is used to clean the hair. Tuning. The 4 strings of the violin from the bowing end are tuned respectively to Madhyasthayi Panchama, Madhyasthayi Shadja, Mandarasthayi Panchama and Mandarasthayi Shadja. The pegs are used for tightening or loosening the strings, thereby increasing or decreasing the pitch. The screws on the tailpiece are used for the fine adjustment. Different sets of strings are used for low and high pitches. The pressure of the bow on the string tends to loosen the strings slightly while playing, and hence the fine adjustment screws are used intermittently to keep the violin perfectly tuned. Technique of play. In the West, the violin is held against the chin of the player who is in standing posture. In India, the player squats on a flat surface, resting the violin on the chest. The scroll is placed on the foot near the ankle bone of the right foot. The correct posture of sitting and holding the violin is very essential for the production of gamakas. The bow is held on the right hand, the thumb resting near the base of the nut so as to avoid slipping of the bow. The index finger should slightly press the bow. The little finger relieves the pressure, and the middle two fingers help in the process of bowing as a whole. The hair of the bow should be clean and properly spread out. Sufficient rosin should be applied. The bow should remain at right angles to the strings and run always parallel to the bridge. The bowing should always be between the bridge and the fingerboard. The neck of the violin is positioned within the V formed by the left thumb and the left index finger. The thumb should not grip the neck of the violin. On the other hand, the flexibility of the thumb when the hand moves up and down is very important. The four fingers, namely the index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and the little finger, are used to play the notes on the four strings. Every school has developed its own fingering method. Fiddle Venkataswami was a left-hander violinist who held the bow in the left hand and played on the strings with his right hand. Two main techniques, Pidivadyam and Jaruvadyam, are employed in the South Indian system for producing gamakas. In the Pidivadyam, fingertips touch the strings and gamakas are produced by means of touching the anuswaras with the fingertips with rapidity. In Jaruvadyam, continuous gamakas or shakes are produced by gliding the fingers rapidly on the fingerboard. Experts use a combination of both these techniques, producing glided gamakas and plain notes with anuswara wherever, whenever necessary, enhancing the beauty of the song or melody. Special bowing technique is required to play tanam on the violin.
Coming to the conclusion, we have so far discussed about the several facets of violin. Violin can thus be called as the most agile among the string instruments. In the next session, we shall begin discussion on another Carnatic instrument. Thank you.